Hello guys and welcome to the show. My name is John and I got a chance to play around with Samsung's new shiny baby, the Galaxy S9. And at the same time, on my pocket for a near 3 to 3.5 months now has been this thing, the iPhone X. So I decided to go ahead and put them to the test and see which shiny baby is actually better, Apple's or Samsung's. Let's do this. So let's start with the design of the two devices. Now, Samsung went and did something which is quite functional if you ask me. They introduced the technology, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Meaning that the Galaxy S9 shows the exact same, down to the last millimeter, design to the Galaxy S8, the predecessor for previous year. Now this is, as I said, though not necessarily a bad thing, because I believe Samsung easily has one of the best designs on a phone these days. Admittedly, yes, the iPhone X does have a really good redesign on, the rounded edges, the stainless steel around the phone, the front and back, which is glass. All this is really nice, but for my opinion, the curves and the narrowness of the Galaxy S9 is actually overall really good, especially when using it on portrait mode, in scrolling and things like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, because, well, most of the things we do these days on our phones are portrait oriented, and having a narrow phone really helps when holding it and using it overall. So I believe, a slightly taller and narrow phone, for my opinion at least, is actually better. I/O wise, the Samsung Galaxy S9 takes the lead here, because contrary to just about most companies these days, which tend to ditch the headphones jack, Samsung proudly introduces the headphones jack as a feature to this year's 2017 Galaxy S9. Now, for some people this might be a deal breaker or a deal maker. For my opinion though, never, the headphones jack has been in my life, but I've slowly transitioned over to wireless, which means that even though I don't have a headphones jack onto my iPhone X, which I use on a day-to-day basis, I've not really found this to be a problem for anything I might do. Turning the phone to the front, it's where the iPhone starts to have some attention and actually get some points, because for my opinion, the all screen approach that Apple has gone is actually, for my opinion, a bit better than the Samsung rounded edge, almost edgeless but still has an edge form factor. Now, admittedly, for some people the notch might be in your face and you might not like it, but for my opinion, once you start to use the phone 1 or 2 days, you actually get used to it and just live with it with no problem. Also, for a lot of people that say that it might be distracting during videos, well, most videos, including, the vast majority of videos on YouTube, Netflix, apart from some feature films or some Hollywood films, is actually at 16:9 aspect ratio, which is, well, an aspect ratio that will have black bars inevitably onto the sides of the phone. So with this shiny OLED screen, more that later, the notch easily blends in the black bars and you have absolutely no problem. On top of that, something else I'm going to add about that display is the fact that the rounded edges that Samsung has implemented on Android just seem a bit weird. I don't know, it just feels like it's cut kind of weirdly, whereas on the iPhone it's just seamless and always it's just, implemented onto the UI. It's something that Samsung needs to work on a future update. Speaking of the displays, both phones feature OLED displays, and well, both of them are really good. But the OLED game is something that Samsung has been doing for quite a few years, going back to the Galaxy S4 as a matter of fact. Therefore, they actually have a competitive advantage over Apple. But Apple acted smartly here and actually got OLED screens from Samsung as their supplier, which is a quite smart idea, considering that, well, the leader is Samsung, so why not get the OLED screens from the best? I believe that the Samsung Galaxy S9 display is actually better, it's actually brighter and also more vivid, and it's actually something I noticed even on Instagram comments. Imagine what I'm talking about right now. The whites are white, the blacks are black, and all the colors in between are really nice and crisp. And now, well, you might say that both, the iPhone is good and has a great display too. Yes, so, but well, Apple has gone with a really weird, barely 1440p resolution, whereas Samsung has implemented a simple and good 1440p resolution, which is actually higher than the iPhone X. So, to cut a long story short, Samsung's screen, for my opinion, will take the win here. One thing though I do have to give to Apple and will give them major props about is something which I've actually been using on my iPad Pro and my iPhone X, is something which, once you don't have it, you really miss it, and it's true on display, especially on apps like Twitter and Instagram, which have a white background. Once you have True Tone enabled and you get used to it for like a month or so, then when you don't have it, you're like, whoa, that's way too blue. Way too blue-white, if that makes any sense. And well, that's exactly what I noticed as soon as I started using the Galaxy S9. Performance-wise, the iPhone X is better on paper in any way. Apple's A11 chip is actually much better and much more powerful than the Exynos chip onto the Samsung Galaxy S9. And before you start raging down in the comments saying that, oh John, in North America, I get it with a Snapdragon. Yes, the Snapdragon which is rocking, which is the latest generation undoubtedly, is still a bit underpowered. Yes, it is an octa-core processor, but some software issues and also the whole operating system and the architecture of the chip make the A11 be much better on paper. Now this though does translate to day-to-day use. Don't get me wrong here, you won't have any kind of trouble and lag when using your Galaxy S9. I mean, it's a really good flagship device with plenty of RAM. I mean, it has about 4 GB onto the base S9 and 6 GB onto the S9 Plus, so you won't really have a problem there. The only thing though I did notice is some lag which is caused due to Android, not due to the phone, on certain things like when closing an Instagram story, opening Messenger, things like that, which I don't know, and I acknowledge that it's not something which is Samsung's fault, nor the actual hardware's fault, but it's just there, and I'm gonna be, developing this about Android a bit later in the video. But in raw performance, I have to admit that both phones are perfectly capable, and even battery life on both phones has been really, really good. So overall, there's not really going to be a major difference specs wise, even though something might be said on paper. On actual using, day-to-day use, you're not really going to have a problem nor a noticeable difference. Moving on to biometrics and how you can unlock the two devices, this is a big issue. Starting with the Galaxy S9. The good old fingerprint reader, which has now been moved below the camera rather than on the side, so you could accidentally, press the camera and try to unlock your phone, is a really good move, and well, it's actually crazy fast. Just like the good old second generation Touch ID on the iPhones. But the thing is that this is one of the many ways you can unlock the phone. Apart from passwords and, well, patterns which you can do through Android, Samsung has given you the option to use face recognition and also iris recognition. Face recognition is really something which I didn't even bother to set up because it's something that Google has been doing for years with the camera of the phone, meaning that it just takes a screenshot of your face and just matches it with what it will see when you try to unlock the phone. Meaning that even once you go ahead and set it up, it says, warning, this feature might actually unlock your phone with a photo of you. So, it's nothing like the depth sensing, amazingly capable Face ID on the iPhone. As for iris scanning, it's actually much slower than Face ID as well as the Fingerprint Reader, and also is a bit dangerous. And don't get me wrong here, even though it is quite, futuristic, as soon as I go ahead and set it up, it says, warning, don't put it on babies because it might destroy their eyesight. Don't hold it close to your face because it might destroy my eyesight. And after I started using and fiddling around with iris scanning, I actually had a headache. On top of that, it's actually a bit of a hit or miss. You're told to put your eyes onto two little circles on the camera and, well, it's a bit weird to try and position yourself. So overall, I would say that sticking with a good old fingerprint reader is your best option on the Galaxy S9. I can't though say the same about the iPhone X. The iPhone X has only Face ID and, well, it's dead good. I mean, I've been using it for a good 3 months now and I've hardly ever had any kind of problem and, my face not being recognized. I set it up once and I just don't have to care about it anymore. Sure, it's not as fast as a good old fingerprint scanner, but it is definitely getting there. And I think that might be making or breaking your deal for either one of the two devices is the little things that make me appreciate the one over the other. Say for example, when charging your Galaxy S9, you can see a little indicator of how long it's going to charge and also if it's charging fast or standard charging speed, which is pretty nice and little handy feature, so you can know how much time you got left until you actually have a fully charged phone. Also, something that the Galaxy S9 has and the iPhone doesn't, well, an always-on display. Sure enough, if you had an always-on display with an LED screen, then battery would be drained, but now that the iPhone X does have an OLED display, why not implement this simple technology, an always-on display like the time and some notifications? I found myself loving it for the period I was using the Galaxy S9. But then to defend himself, the iPhone actually has some things on its own. If you're using the whole Apple ecosystem, you will see things like continuity, iMessages, and stuff like that, which are really going to make the whole experience a lot better for you. And well, these are the things that make me stay onto an iPhone. I mean, you know, continuity from my iPad or my Mac to this iPhone is just seamless and great. But I've saved the best for last, and this is the actual camera. Cameras on phones seem to be getting better and better every single day, and well, the battle really continues and comes down to the, well, Google Pixel, iPhone X, and well, the Galaxy S9. Now, the Galaxy S9 is a bit more forward-thinking and also a bit better and futuristic, considering it is a first phone that has a variable aperture lens. You can expect more of this and actually, you know, a more detailed view on this onto my review, which is gonna come later this week. Which is the best camera though? Well, on great light situations, both of them shine and are amazing, and I overall think that the cameras on phones have seemed to be getting better and better. But the thing is that when it comes to low light, I believe that the iPhone handles things a bit better. And even though the iPhone might not have as much grain in some cases as the Galaxy S9, when I click onto this video feature and I see things like video in low light and I see so nice and crisp image with little to no hissiness or grain, I believe that the Galaxy S9 as a whole, at least for my samples, is actually better this time. Sure enough, in some other testing situations the iPhone might prove to be better, but for my opinion and for my review over here, well, it is just better. But it's time to reach a conclusion. As a whole, the iPhone X is actually less powerful and less capable than the Galaxy S9. So if I was to compare this and be unbiased, I would probably say that the Galaxy S9 as a whole is a much better phone. But there are things, as I've said, like Airdrop, Continuity, and well, iMessages, which really make me and stay onto the iPhone ecosystem. Yes, sure enough, it's the best design on the phone on the Galaxy S9, but there's things on Android, and I'm not saying by no means that iOS 11 or iOS in general for that matter is perfect. I mean, iOS 11 is all over the place with bugs. It's just better as a whole on an iPhone, and I would prefer to use this as my daily driver. Sure, if Android gets better, it's less vulnerable, and also it gets more stable with things like Instagram and Snapchat, yeah, I might be considering to making a change. But anyways guys, that's about gonna do for me in this video. If you like it, be sure to drop a like, and if you dislike it, well, you know, the other button would do as well. But either way guys, be sure to check out the previous video if you missed already, and also check out another video if you've seen the previous one. But anyways guys, my name has been John, and well, I'll see you again in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.